This is Evan Talks podcast, where we talk and share our mental health journey every other Monday. Our goal is to break the stigma of mental health and to help people along the way. Subscribe and be a part of this awesome new journey. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining Evan Talks again this week. Just before the episode with Dave, I just wanted to touch base with everyone and see how you're all doing. I've been thinking very much about the people that listen every week or every other week, and I just wanted to say thank you. And I also wanted to reassure those of you that are listening this week and maybe have been going through a bit of a difficult time, just to reassure you that, you know what, if it is a difficult time right now, you are going to be able to come through on the other side and you are going to be able to make it to a better day. What you're going through right now is just for right now. And if you keep working at it and you keep pushing on and you be the strong person that you are, then you will make it through. And I've got full faith in you that you will. So I would just wanted to reassure you that whatever we're going through, let it be right now or in the future, it is just for that moment at that time. And we can get through it, and we can be on the other side of this and be stronger, better, happier individuals just for getting through what we're getting through right now. So that was really all I wanted to share. It's been on my mind a lot this week, and I've been trying to think of the best way to possibly get that out there. And I just thought, why not just add something onto the front of this episode, because it's a great episode. It's not very long, and it's really impactful for people that manage people. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and just remember that whatever we're going through is just for right now, and we can get through it, and we will get through it, and we are going to be stronger, happier, and more positive people because we got through what we're going through right now. So I just wanted to reassure you, stay positive and be the person that I know you can be, in that you can get through whatever you're being tested with right now. Thanks very much and enjoy the episode, and I will speak to you in 2 weeks' time. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Evan Talks, and I'm very excited to be sharing this episode with Dave Crowe, who is my manager in the workplace, but also I'd like to believe a bit of a friend outside of work. And we've been working together for 7 years. We've probably known each other, but Dave has been my line manager for about 5 years now. And he's kindly offered, maybe not offered, but kindly agreed to join this episode and kind of talk about managing somebody who might have a mental health issue, and kind of share a bit of insight from how it's been from his perspective. Dave, welcome.
Welcome all. It's a pleasure to be here, and I really want to be part of this Evan Talks podcast, and just sort of share my thoughts and how I've sort of dealt with things as they occur between Evan and I. Looking forward to it.
Cool. First things first, I think I'd like to believe that since I was a lot younger, I've been a bit more open to being honest with friends, family, and potential employers about mental health, or my mental health at least. Thinking about that, my honesty at the interview stage of the job that I had, that I've now got with you, did that put you off? How did that make you feel? Mm-hmm. Were you even bothered?
To be honest, I felt it was great that you were being honest for a start, because a lot of people might have just hidden it or not mentioned it or hoped it wouldn't come up. But at the time, obviously, my key purpose there was to find the right person for the job, based on their experience and based on their ability. Yeah, it was great that you told me, but at that moment in time, it didn't really have any bearing on the job role, because, like I say, I was there to find someone that's right for the job and had the experience and the ability to do it. And you definitely had that, so that was the key factor. But obviously, the fact you had told us about it was something that I would still think of that going forward. And it just sort of prompted me to just have a bit of a look at what it meant, obviously, with what you'd discussed, and just maybe do a bit of research into it myself, just so I had a bit of a better understanding. So if anything did come up, then hopefully I'd be in a better position to deal with it.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you ever did do a bit of research and look into it, but I know we've had that discussion since.
Yeah.
And was that because you didn't know much about it, or you hadn't had much involvement with somebody with mental illness before, or was it just being the responsible person that you are, as we are both in safety roles?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, partly because I guess at that point in time it wasn't really that talked about. So I hadn't. I mean, I'm guessing I could have managed people with mental health issues in the past, and I probably have done, but it was never. It was never something that was generally raised, with the employee or that,
Yeah,
and between the manager, because again, the whole sort of historical stigma around it. So I think just for my part, just to get a better understanding and to make sure that if anything did happen with you, that I wasn't gonna start panicking about, oh, what should I do, what should I say, what
yeah,
shouldn't I say. So
yeah,
it was like I just wanted to get a bit of an understanding of how to react so that I could do the right thing by you and make sure you were good as well, and also make sure that I was comfortable with dealing with that situation.
yeah. I suppose I always kind of just tell people and then just let them
Yeah,
let them do what they want to do with that information. We've had a couple of episodes since I've been working with you.
yeah.
Considering it's been 5 years, I don't think that's been too bad. I think there's been two bad ones, but in my opinion, you dealt with those episodes quite well. So, what would you say your approach was when I maybe made that phone call to you saying that I'm in a bad place and I might need some time off, or
Yeah. I think it was like firstly just to listen to you,
yeah,
like to just to let you get your sort of views out and let like tell me how you were feeling. I think just let you talk essentially first before sort of making any comments, and just listening to you first, and then obviously then just trying to reassure you, as I have done in the past, that it's ultimately it's about you. And like, a lot of the time when you talk to me about these things, and if you're having a bit of an episode, you will say, oh, I'm really like, I don't want to affect work, and I'm worried about this, so I've got all this planned in the diary and that. And it's like, well, that doesn't matter. It's ultimately it's about your health,
yeah,
and your well-being, and work can just take a back seat for the time being. Plenty of us here at work, there's plenty of support within the HSE team, there's plenty of support within the ops teams, that yeah, whilst it might be a little bit difficult for us at times, but we'll get through it. And ultimately, it's about your health and well-being that matters. In the long run, we want you to be there for us as well as you want us to be there for you.
yeah,
So yeah, we need to make sure that you're in the right frame of mind to do what you need to do. So yeah, really, it's just about reassuring you, listening to you, making sure you understand that don't worry about work and just concentrate on yourself, and then also just being there for you at any point. Like I've always said, like we'll have a discussion, but it's like if at any time, night or day, if you need to talk or you need to just vent something or ask something, then yeah, don't feel scared to give me a call. Just again, the fact that you were open and honest at the start, it's about me as a manager being honest with you and setting the boundaries and stuff, but letting you know that it's fine if you want to call me up at 3 in the morning. I'm not
yeah,
gonna freak out, but I'd rather you did that than sit on it for till 9 o'clock in the morning.
yeah.
I'd rather you just call me up and we dealt with it then and there. So
Okay, and yeah, I suppose that makes it a lot easier for me to deal with when I am going through it. That's how you deal with my situation, but then like if we pass that back, and how does that affect your life? And if I'm having to take off for a long time of work or whatever, does that affect your mental health or your well-being?
to be fair, like the first time and that, and the first few occasions, I didn't really think about it with myself. But the more I've been dealing with you, and the more like the general workforce have been talking more about mental health, it
Yeah,
started to make me sort of maybe look at myself a bit more, and maybe realize that whilst I'm not going to, or haven't been going through anything on the level that you were, I think ultimately everybody does suffer from some sort of mental health challenges at times,
yeah,
and I think a lot of people just don't realize it because they don't know the signs to look out for unless you're in a really bad place.
yeah,
So I think it's made me look at sort of my situation a bit more and sort of be able to identify when maybe I'm struggling a little bit. And recently I went through some stuff at the end of last year, as you know,
yeah,
because I talked to you about it as well, and it made me realize that I do need to just speak to my boss
yeah,
and say this is just getting all on top of me, and like I literally got to the point where I felt like I was drowning, and I needed to say something, so I spoke to my boss and had the conversation, and ultimately it was a good thing to do because he was understanding about it and said, yeah, we can sort this out and just tell us what we need to do, and we got a resolution to it.
Yeah.
That sort of made, and again, just that ability to talk about it and just open up was such a good situation as well.
Yeah, because you feel a bit more relief, don't you? Once
Yeah.
you've put it out there and it's there, you've got it off your chest and it's stopped playing on your mind constantly.
Yeah, and I think it's that sort of snowball effect, isn't it? So you've got all this going on in your own mind with whether it's work stress, personal stress, whatever, and because you are a little scared to talk about it, it then just eats away at you even more
Yeah,
and just like plays on your mind even more, and that's just that sort of snowball effect that just spirals out of control. So it's just
becomes a
taking
much bigger problem.
yeah, sound small, it just develops and develops. But yeah, having that ability to just have the courage to just speak up and talk about it,
Yeah.
it makes a huge difference just getting it off your chest.
Yeah,
Even before any solutions have taken place, just actually physically getting it out there
yeah,
just
absolutely.
has that weight off your mind. That's really quite good to be fair.
Yeah, strange how that works.
Yeah.
What's interesting also is that you've just said about like how we're open and honest with each other, but I think it might be the case for a lot of people in management positions where they're wanting their team members to be open and honest, but maybe they're not open and honest with their management.
Yeah.
Do you find that as a difficult thing to be, or has been a difficult thing before? Because I think we've got quite a good manager above us at the moment,
Yeah.
so it makes it a bit easier for us to open up. But previously, would you have said that that would have been a barrier for you?
Yeah, I think maybe, yeah. I think, yeah, definitely the sort of whole hierarchy and how that feeds up the line and stuff is, yeah, you could do what is within your control with my teams and also like yourself.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think going up the line until you get to that situation, you're just a bit unsure, and listening to how maybe your line manager talks about other situations that you may know of can sort of maybe just put you a bit at unease initially. So I think any manager just needs to be aware of that when they're having them sorts of discussions with other colleagues and that other people will be listening, and yeah, just choose your words carefully, I think.
yeah, absolutely. 2 or 3 episodes that I've had. Definitely the worst one was a couple of years ago after that relationship broke down,
Yeah.
and I had to take some time off work. What would you say were your key lessons from that experience? Because I was off work for a couple of weeks, wasn't I?
Yeah. I think again, like also the talking with you, understand the situation, but ultimately that's like the one part of it or the first part of it. I think for me it was then the ongoing support, like checking in on you
Yeah.
daily, even if it was just like a text message just to say, look, just checking how you are. If you need anything, give me a call, sort of
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, that regular checking in
helps.
on people, I think helps to let them know that you're still there and that they can just come to you at any point.
I think that was a good comfort for me in that it wasn't like I didn't have the feeling that you were expecting me to be better because I was back at work.
No.
Like, you knew that there was going to be a gradual process, and I think I was going to some ongoing counselling anyway.
Yeah.
I was doing some CBT, and you gave me that time to go and do those appointments and do that. But also just like, because you were checking in, made me a little bit more comfortable that you weren't expecting me to be at 100% by the time I
No.
got back after having 2 weeks off, because it's quite difficult to come straight back in at the same
Yeah,
level as when I was.
that's it. I think anybody like that sort of return to work piece, I would always say, and I've had conversations with other people recently around similar things, is that yeah, some of the sort of managers to say, yeah, like this person's been off for a while, and yeah, they might have gone through their counselling, and they'll be telling you they're in a better place, which is great, but
Yeah.
you can't have them coming back into work full steam ahead.
No.
It needs to be a phased return. It needs to be like really talked through between you and them, and again setting some sort of boundaries, like where each other is at and where you expect people to be, I think is key. And then it's that when they are back at work, doing that check-in, definitely having regular sort of daily, every other day meetings with them just to see how they're getting on, if there's any other support they need, or if there's anything that they need taken off them just to sort of relieve any sort of pressures and anxieties as well. I
Yeah.
think is a big part of it. But yeah, generally like the communication piece is so huge, and I know within sort of our line of work it can be an issue at times, communication. But
Within the industry of
well,
hospitality.
within the catering and hospitality
Yeah.
industry, yeah, because it is. I mean, particularly in the sort of sports and events side of the business that we're in, it is pretty much like full steam ahead, 12-hour days, 13-hour days. You don't get a minute to think about anything because it's just go, go, go,
Constantly, yeah.
go. So yeah, I think it's important to have them little timeouts, just to sort of refocus, reassess the
Mm.
situation, and make sure everybody's sort of talking and working together for the best of everyone.
Yeah. Thinking about that, what do you think in terms of being proactive? This isn't on the talking points. This is just something that I've come up with. But d- what could be a more proactive way in managing people within our business, the hospitality and events industry, so that we don't end up being run down and out of sync with where we should be? I mean, we're talking about my depression, but we're also talking about people that get burned out and stress
Yeah,
and
I think yeah. Again, I think I know of various people that have discussed it in the past of the amount of hours you do, the high pressure that you're under, and it is important that whilst sort of the leadership needs to take account of it, but even individually, we all need to take responsibility for ourselves and have the ability to say when we need some time out. I
yeah,
think. And I think I know, like with our leadership team in our sort of sector, they're definitely coming round to that way of thinking.
yeah.
And I
We're on
know,
that journey,
yeah, we're
definitely.
definitely on that journey. I know that it's being looked at in certain areas, but I know that they would fully support someone if they felt that way,
Yeah,
and they would put sort of the resource and the means into to supporting them and making sure that they were okay.
yeah.
And yeah, like with the stuff we're doing now with the whole Sea Care Share, I think it's really helping sort of refocus people's minds on actually looking out for each other and looking out for our workforce,
Yeah,
rather than just looking at the bottom line or that side of things. It's about the people at the end of the day.
well, the
Um,
people we need the people to run the business, don't we?
we need
Yeah,
the people to run the business, and it's the great people that we've got that give the great customer service that our clients keep coming back for. So
yeah.
if we don't look after them, then that's not going to carry on. So yeah, I
No,
mean, really need to focus on your people. It's the only way you're going to have a sort of sustainable long term business. So
yeah. And then if you had a colleague at your level that was taking on somebody who might have some sort of mental health concerns, what would your advice be to them, knowing what you know now about how I've?
I
I mean,
think
everyone's going to be different.
yeah, each sort of individual is going to be different, and how each individual wants to be treated is going to be different. But I think ultimately, it's about if you're aware of that situation, then I think it's definitely just have a sit down with them, that just informal, just invite them for a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever it may be. But yeah, just have an informal chat and just sort of put them at ease and let them know that whatever comes to light or whatever happens in the future, that you're there for them, and that they shouldn't feel that they can't speak to you
Mm,
or raise any concerns or raise any challenges or things that are going on, whether it's, as I say before, whether it's personal, whether it's work related. I think the key is just to make sure that they understand that they can talk to you,
yeah,
and that you're never going to judge them on anything,
yeah,
and that yeah, again, you, as I said from the start with yourself, the reason I employed you was because of your ability and your experience to do the job. The mental health piece had no bearing on whether I would or wouldn't. It was down to
mm,
your ability and your experience, and mental health issues don't change that ability or that experience. It may
no,
mean you got to take time out from it sometimes,
yeah.
but
But
it doesn't
sometimes I think
change
it makes me
anything.
a better
Yeah,
manager or a better person in the job role because I care that much more or
yeah,
I'm conscious of it.
yeah. So yeah, that would be my first tip. Would be yeah, just have that conversation at the start,
Yeah,
just to put them at ease and let them understand that you're there for them regardless of what happens.
yeah,
And then again, when situations do occur, then again, it's just reinforcing that message and making sure you do just listen to them and talk to them and yeah, check in on them regular. Make sure you just work with them and do everything you can to their life better
yeah.
and your life better ultimately as well. There is a bit of self gratification in it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. I mean, I
It's good
think
to
it's
help people.
good to help people. Yeah, it's like the ripple effect that we see. That yeah, you do a good turn for someone, then eventually one day you'll get that
That back.
greatness back. So
Absolutely.
I think if everybody looked out for everybody a bit more, then the world will be a much better place.
Wouldn't it just?
Yeah.
So, well, that's the end of my talking points that I've put together. But I just wanted to say, is there anything you wanted to maybe share, or anything else you wanted to add? Because it's been a bit of a journey of the last 5 years working
Yeah.
together. But
It's been good. To be fair, like yeah, I was, as I say from the start, I was never that bothered about it, and then also I had a look into like the research behind it, and I was a bit sort of unsure because obviously within our business currently, there's no sort of like training for a manager on how to deal with mental health issues. Obviously now we are starting to focus on the mental health first aid courses with our teams,
Yeah.
which should help with that. But like in the sort of past 5 years, there's never been anything for a manager to say, right, here's a course you can go on and tell you how to deal with someone that's got mental health problems.
yeah,
So I think we're definitely moving in a step in the right direction with the sort of the mental health first aid courses and sort of the well-being ambassadors and all the sort of linkage with like Mind and the various charities as well.
Yeah.
I know you're going to be doing some stuff with Samaritans on one of the
Yeah.
upcoming talks, so that'll be a really interesting one to hear. But yeah, I think definitely we can all do so much more, and it's just about making sure we're doing the right thing, really.
yeah. I think my point to managers would be, don't be afraid of saying something, because
Yeah.
chances are, if it's a genuine feeling and it's something that you is coming from a good place, then it won't be a negative thing to say. And I think you've often given some sound advice without even maybe realizing that you've given it.
Yeah.
And just simple things that we talk about in general conversation
Yeah.
has helped me.
Yeah,
when
and I
I've
think
been
that's
through
the
some
get.
stuff.
Like, yeah, I mean, I'd say I was always a bit worried about saying the wrong thing, but again, I think trying to, when we're having these conversations about the mental health and stuff, I tried to take myself out of that sort of manager employee
Yeah.
role and treat it more like a sort of informal chat, because I just think it eases the tone for both you and me
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
we sort of get out of that sort of manager employee type scenario.
Yeah.
Because then it just puts me a bit more at ease. So, like I say, I can speak to you on a more of a one-to-one basis, like I was if we were just out in the pub or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think also it puts you more at ease as well. So I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
definitely trying to keep things as informal as possible in them sort of conversations helps.
Yeah. Obviously, there might be a time where it does need to be a formal discussion from a manager point of view, but
Yeah, it depends.
Initially,
Depends on the
yeah.
situation, but
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
9 times out of 10, it's much better in a sort of informal situation. I feel, and that, like, again, everybody's different, and every manager manages in different ways and whatnot. But I think we've sort of built up a good way of dealing with it and
Yeah.
and getting our points across to each other that we both understand, and it seems to work for both of us really.
Yeah, and I think the key underlying thing is honesty,
Yeah.
listening, and support. Really,
Yeah.
that's the key thing. Because if we're honest with each other, then it makes it easier to listen,
Yeah.
and then it makes it easier to support you.
No, the
or each other.
communications is key to all of it.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, like the honesty and again, like now I'm not afraid to say things to you.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I know that we know each other well enough now. But
yeah.
yeah, you might not always like what I say, and equally I might not always like what you say. But,
Exactly. Yeah,
but yeah, we understand where we both are,
yeah, yeah.
and we
Definitely.
understand what needs to be done, and we'll always work together to ensure the right outcome. So
Yeah.
that's the key point really.
Yeah,
It's,
cool.
yeah, it's about getting the right outcome for everyone
Yeah,
and making sure you work together.
amazing. Well, thank you very much for joining me on this episode.
That was a pleasure. It's been great.
Nice and easy conversation. It's just like our normal pub chat, really, isn't it? So for those of you who are listening, thank you very much for listening to another episode. All your support has actually been amazing, so thank you, and hopefully you'll be back for the next one. So just to lay down a quick challenge, maybe this week be a bit more honest with your line manager or your colleagues. or the person maybe that you're managing if you are going through some stuff, really. Not necessarily tell them everything, but just being a bit more honest and a bit more open in the workplace is going to be part of this journey in order to get rid of the stigma and give people a bit more confidence in that, you know what, it's okay if I've got a mental health issue and I'm working a 9 to 5 or I've got a full-time job, because my boss and my peers and my colleagues are going to support me through any bad times that I might have.
Yeah, I think I always remember you're never going through it alone.
Yeah, absolutely not.
There's so many people out there that you can talk to. So yeah, just get talking.
Yeah, 100%. The clue's in the name, Evan Talks. So yeah, I'm going to put some links into some charities and organisations that you can talk to. The next episode will be in 2 weeks' time. So thanks very much for listening. Have a great day, and speak to you soon. Thank you for listening to Evan Talks, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and share it with your friends and family. All the links to the topics are on the socials, and if you want to talk and share, please get in touch. Be kind to yourself and each other until the next time.